Happy Halloween, everyone! What are you going as this year? Batman? A ghost? Or maybe a vampire? No, not that type of vampire. I mean like Dracula, as in the Dracula from the hit NES game, Castlevania. The story is you play as Simon Belmondo, even though it's Simon Belmont in the rest of the games, I guess he got his name changed or something, as you go off to kill Dracula, a task your family is entrusted with every 100 years. While exploring Dracula's castle, you encounter every horror monster you can think of, including ghosts, Frankenstein, and the Grim Reaper. That's right, you have to fight death. There are also Medusa heads and an actual giant Medusa, so it borrows slightly from Greek mythology as well. There are so many monsters, but more on that in a minute. The only weapons you have to fight Dracula are your whip, and a few special sub-items, such as the Holy Cross, which is essentially a boomerang, an axe, which is a simple projectile, and a stopwatch, which, well, you know. You find these items whenever you whip candles that are found throughout the castle, and you use them with hearts that you could also find in these candles. Yeah, hearts are ammunition, not health. I think this might be the only series that does that. But the best item that you can have is the Holy Water. Not only does it do major damage, it freezes your opponent for a second, letting you whip them in the face. In the face! You can only have one special item on screen at a time though, unless you find a double shot or a triple shot, which are scarcely placed throughout the castle. So if you have a triple shot and the Holy Water, you can knock out anyone, even the Grim Reaper. Yes, this means you don't... Hang on a second, I need to put sunglasses on whenever I say this line. Don't fear the Reaper. I'm sorry about that. Speaking of boss battles, they are insane, especially the final three. I mean, the giant bat, Medusa head, and the mummies aren't particularly tough if you know what to do, but the last three are an endurance test. Every single one of them is a fist fight. Frankenstein isn't hard by himself, but whenever Igor starts throwing projectiles at you, you are going to die. A lot. The Grim Reaper is usually impossible, but by some miracle, I not only beat him on the first try, but he didn't even move thanks to me spamming the Holy Water. But trust me, he is one of the hardest bosses in video game history. Speaking of the Grim Reaper though, people, stop complaining about the corridor right before him. It's not hard. All you have to do is have the Holy Water, jump and throw, and the knight will die. Medusa heads only come from the direction you're looking at, so just time a few jumps and you're set. You can walk through it. Speaking of the Medusa heads, they aren't the worst enemy in the game. That title goes to the Hunchbacks. Medusa heads, like I said, always come from one direction and they go in a set pattern. Hunchbacks, on the other hand, if you don't kill them immediately, they jump everywhere, and they're gonna get you before you get them 99% of the time. But back to boss fights for a second. Dracula is downright impossible. It took me about 2 hours and change to beat this game this time around for the recording, and almost an hour of that footage was me versus Dracula. He has two forms. The first is rough because he can appear anywhere and he shoots projectiles. You have to whip him in the face, and there's only a brief period of opportunity for you to do it. But the second form, is criminally insane! I mean, just look at him! He's a defensive tank with a wide range of projectiles who can easily back you into a corner and finish you off. The worst part is, both forms take 48 hits to knock him out. 48 hits! How many hits until you die? 4. That's just not right. But in the end, you beat Dracula, his castle crumbles, and you're left with only one more challenge. Beating the game on hard mode. Not a chance, Konami. Not a chance. Okay, let's get to grading this game. First of all, the controls. They're nothing to write home about. First of all, whenever you get hit, you get knocked backwards. Now that's fairly standard in a 2D platformer, but you get knocked back so far and you fall like a sack of bricks. Plus, jumping is a pain in the butt. Don't expect to change direction in midair like Mario. Sonic goes up, and then he goes down. Nothing else. The controls just seem primitive, so I'm gonna give them a 6. Next up are the graphics. This part was hard to grade because, let's be honest, they aren't great. I mean, Summon doesn't even have a face. But on the other hand, the backgrounds are actually pretty scary due to their unique shading of colors. So, I'll give it a 7. As for creativity, I'll give it a 10. The boss fights are creative, the level designs are fantastic, and of course the whole concept of fighting such memorable characters as Dracula and Death was unheard of at the time. As for music, I'm just gonna say 10 because every game in the Castlevania series has awesome music. Here, listen to this song called Wicked Shell while I play a montage of me fighting the bosses. Finally, fun. I'll give it a 9 here because it's extremely hard, but you always come back for more. This is one of the hardest games I've ever beaten in my life. But despite its insane challenge, you always feel yourself getting a little closer and a little better with every death. That being said, if you are a casual gamer, do not buy this game because you will rage quit. But if you are a hardcore gamer, buy this game because you will rage quit and then come back for more. And that is the sign of a good game.